Hello, I'm Donna Lowry, host of Lawmakers on Georgia Public Broadcasting. Welcome to the Atlanta Press Club Loudermilk Young debate series from the studios of Georgia Public Broadcasting. This is the debate for Fulton County District Attorney. Let's meet the candidates. Christian Y. Smith is an author and attorney. Fani Willis has served as Fulton County District Attorney since 2021. Ms. Willis declined to participate in the debate and is represented by an empty podium. Now let's meet our panelists. Tamar Hallerman is a senior reporter for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and Sam Gringlas is a politics reporter for WABE. For complete rules on today's program, please visit the Atlanta Press Club website, atlantapressclub.org. To start the program, the candidate will be asked one question by each panelist. He will have 60 seconds to answer their questions. Sam Gringlas, you get the first question to Christian Y. Smith.
Hi, Mr. Y. Smith. Thanks for being here. The Fulton County Jail is housing hundreds more people than it was designed to hold. Last year, 10 detainees died there. Most have not been convicted and are just awaiting trial, sometimes for months or even years. The DA is not responsible for conditions at the jail, but Fulton is still trying to dig out from a massive case backlog after the pandemic that reached more than 200,000 cases in 2022. What's your plan to address that backlog?
Well, the district attorney does have something to do with the backlog, and the district attorney can do something about ending mass incarceration, right? When we see people dying in the jail, when we see the terrible conditions in the jail, when we see people sitting there for too long unindicted, that's absolutely a problem that the DA can try to fix. And one of the ways we do that is we create diversion programs for cases involving substance addiction, mental health, homelessness. Those are things that we can bring people through the system a lot faster to alleviate those problems in the jail and also address the backlog.
All right. Tamar Hallerman, please ask your question to Mr. Y. Smith.
Thanks for doing this, Mr. Y. Smith. 4 years ago, you ran on a criminal justice reform platform that included things like not seeking the death penalty, ending cash bail, and not prosecuting many types of drug possession cases. Do you still take those positions today?
I've grown a lot in the last 4 years. You know, the biggest way is understanding that crime is an issue that impacts all of us, so we should all have a seat at the table, right? I want to be community-based and bringing the business community on board to help provide internship opportunities and job opportunities for people so that we can break the cycle of recidivism. I want to partner with all of the public schools in Fulton County so that we can be proactive and just showing up for our kids to help dismantle the school-to-prison pipeline. And, you know, having community resource providers, again, to address issues of homelessness, mental health, and substance addiction. Those are all things that we can do differently than we aren't seeing being done now. And if you want to say that those are progressive and bold, I still stand on that, and I do still stand on not seeking the death penalty and other progressive measures to make sure that Fulton County ends up becoming the safest county in the country.
That concludes the first round. In the second round, the candidates asked questions of each other. Since Fani Willis declined to participate, Christian Y. Smith, you may pose a question to the empty podium. You also have 30 seconds to provide a rebuttal to how you feel your opponent would have responded.
Hey, Ms. Willis, how you doing? My question for you is, where are you? You know, I'm here because I care about the citizens and the families of Fulton County, but it's my understanding that, you know, you may have attended the White House Correspondents' Dinner, you may be fundraising across the country, but what about us here in Fulton County? What are you doing to address the issues in the jail? What are you doing to address the backlog? Where are you, Ms. Willis? That's what we want to know.
Do you have a rebuttal?
Well, you know, I can't speak for Ms. Willis, you know, as she's not here. And I think that her absence is all the response that we need.
All right. That concludes our second round. You are watching the debate for Fulton County District Attorney. Fani Willis declined to participate and is represented by an empty podium. We will now go back to the panel to ask questions to Mr. Y. Smith until we run out of time. Tamar Hallerman, you get the first question.
Mr. Y. Smith, DA Willis's office has been criticized for devoting substantial taxpayer resources to prosecuting former President Donald Trump and 14 of his allies. If you win, will you continue that case, the election interference case? And if you do, will you continue pursuing DA Willis's strategy of using the state's racketeering law to do it?
That issue is important to us here in Fulton County and a lot of people across the country. We all heard the phone call. We all saw what happened on January 6, 2021. But you have to do things differently. You know, when you pay one attorney nearly $1 million to handle one case, that leaves the rest of us vulnerable. That hurts everyone else in Fulton County. You know, I worked in that office and my salary was significantly less than what that attorney was paid, and I was responsible for handling a lot more cases than one. So we have to make sure that we see that case through in the best way possible while also addressing everything else that impacts us in Fulton County. Women don't feel safe stopping at the gas pump at night. You know, I know victims of domestic violence who feel like their cases are being neglected and overlooked. So we need a DA who understands that we can pursue the big high-profile cases while not leaving everybody else in Fulton County left behind.
Sam Gringlas.
The district attorney in Athens, Clark County, Deborah Gonzalez, is a former state representative with a background in academia and media and entertainment law, but no experience as a prosecutor. Since taking office, she's been plagued by accusations of mismanagement, which she's denied. Why should voters trust that you have the experience to manage the busiest DA's office in the state?
Well, first, you know, my life experience separates me from any other DA in the country, I'd argue. I grew up seeing my mom and grandma and several family members and friends get arrested. At 15, my mom lost custody of me. At 17, I was kicked out of school and headed toward a life of crime. So my life experience far separates me and gives me some inside information on some things that we can do differently to change the system. But in addition to that, I have a master's degree in management. And, you know, obviously in addition to my law degree, I've worked in Grady Health System 3 separate times. Grady is the largest healthcare system in the Southeast. I led a $70 million project there. And I worked as chief of staff in Atlanta City Council, so I understand what it means to collaborate and work with other governmental entities and agencies to make sure that we're doing what we can do best here to serve the citizens of Fulton County to make this the best justice system in the country.
Tamar.
Just a follow-up question, but do you have the experience to try a high-profile felony case? And if you believe you do, can you talk about a past experience you have that would inform how you would handle such a case?
So I was a prosecutor for 7 years, 5 years on the municipal court level, nearly 2 on a felony level. And I understand collaboration, right? I understand what it means to bring in attorneys who have the experience on those kind of cases in office, where we don't need to spend nearly $1 million to hire someone outside of office to take care of that kind of case. And that ties back to my experience of leading, $70 million+ projects at Grady and working in city government to understand what it means to delegate and collaborate to accomplish a common goal.
Mr. Wise-Smith, you recently held a campaign fundraiser with the music executive Kevin Liles, whose record label represents the Atlanta rapper Young Thug. Mr. Liles and others have been very critical of DA Willis's use of rap lyrics against Young Thug and others in the YSL gang case. If you win this race as district attorney, first, will you continue the YSL case? And second, would you continue to use lyrics of any kind as evidence against people in cases?
So the trial in that case, is ongoing. So I don't want to speculate or say anything that could taint that jury or, be unfair to either side in that case. But I will say, with the background that I have, hip hop was a very important part of my life. I know in this country that there have been hundreds of prosecutions of black men hip hop artists using their lyrics. One in particular, a rapper from No Limit Records in the 90s was sentenced to 30 years with no physical evidence. There was no gun, no DNA, no blood. They only used the lyrics to one of his songs. And so things like that, that's dangerous. If lyrics lead to physical evidence is fair game. But lyrics alone, I think that is dangerous. We don't see that being done in the movie industry or film industry. It's only or any other genre of music. It's only being done to black men in hip hop, and I think that's dangerous.
Thank you. Tamar, did you have a follow-up?
No.
Okay. Sam.
In general, DA Willis is known for her fondness of Georgia's racketeering law, or RICO, for these larger cases, sometimes involving upwards of dozens of defendants, sometimes sweeping in lower-level people, such as the APS cheating scandal, YSL, the election interference cases. Do you think RICO is overused, as we often hear from some defense attorneys?
Absolutely. The Atlanta teacher case is a perfect example of that. The RICO Act was designed in mind with organized crime and mobsters and gangsters back in the 70s. And so to be overbroad and use something like that and trying to sweep across a lot of teachers, I thought that was an overreach and misuse of the DA's office. So, once I take office, we'll make sure we're using that in the appropriate way and not using it for everything.
Tamar.
Mr. Wise-Smith, we haven't seen a ton of polling in this race so far, but the one poll that we did see released, I believe Fox 5 reported it, had you at about 9% support of those polled. Do you think you have a path to victory at this point? And what is the coalition that you think could deliver you there?
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure that poll didn't, seek out first-time voters or young voters or people who want to see fresh energy and new ideas in the DA's office. I'm sure that poll only focused on a specific demographic of people. And I understand a little bit of the game and how polls work. But I'm confident that we will excite a lot of first-time voters and young voters, people from the cannabis community who agree that we should legalize, and a lot of folks who just want to see change. The definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And I'm campaigning on something that hasn't been done in the South before, and I think we will excite a lot of people who will come out and vote to see those changes.
Tamar, follow-up?
Yeah, if you do not win this primary race, will you endorse Ms. Willis, or are there concessions that you would like to see from her?
Well, right now, I'm not focused on losing. I'm focused on gaining your vote. I'm asking everybody watching this to vote Christian Wise-Smith for Fulton County District Attorney on May 21st. Early voting starts April 29th. Wise up.
All right. Thank you. That is all the time we have for questions. Christian Wise-Smith will now have 60 seconds for a closing statement.
Fulton County, I'm running to make us the safest justice system in the United States of America. I want the president to call us and look at us as the model on how you do local criminal justice. We do this by focusing on victim-centered prosecution, ending mass incarceration, and dismantling the school-to-prison pipeline. And I've seen each of these three things firsthand, so I know they work. I diverted a 17-year-old high school senior for possession who went on to graduate from college and play in the NFL. My mother suffers from a mental disability, and I've seen her constantly go through the system where if she would have been partnered with some folks, it could have changed her life and changed my life. And dismantling the school-to-prison pipeline is exactly why I'm here. It was a police officer named Bill Dean who stepped in for me and spoke positivity in my life and showed up for me. And that's what I want to do for not only my kids, but your kids. And that's how we make Fulton County the safest and best justice system in the country. So again, vote Christian Wise-Smith for Fulton DA on May 21st. Thank you.
That concludes our program. We'd like to remind voters that early voting begins April 29th and Election Day is Tuesday, May 21st. Our thanks to Christian Wise-Smith and to our panel of journalists. We'd like to thank the Atlanta Press Club and Georgia Public Broadcasting for arranging today's program. For more information about the Atlanta Press Club debates, visit atlantapressclub.org. I'm Donna Lowry. Thanks for joining us for the Atlanta Press Club Loudermilk Young Debate Series.